And this has been my kitchen.
Oops. You caught me playing with my food again, didn't you? Yeah, welcome to Cooking with SonicBlu again, and today we're going to be making a chicken soup from scratch that you're going to love. Alright, so let's begin by not playing with our food, but hey, at least this is a loosened chicken. Alright, so we are going to fill up our pot with just plain ordinary standard water. And while we're doing that, we're just going to stare into this pot like it's the future. Oh, great wise pot of water, tell us the future that we seek. The future is we're not ready to be fed. That's what our future is. Alright, so anyway, once this is filled with water, we're going to stick this chicken into it, we're going to put it on the stove and let it boil. While we're doing that, we're going to come over here to our vegetables, and I'm going to show you which ones we're going to be working with. We got some celery, we got an onion, and we got carrots. And you can add other vegetables to this if you want to. You can add peppers if you want to, which I wouldn't because I don't like the taste of peppers. You can add anything else. You can add peas if you want to. You can add corn if you want to. Anything can go into a chicken soup and make it taste good. But we'll start off with the basics right here. And this is the way I would make a chicken noodle soup from scratch. And that water is just about done. Right about there is what we want. And we're going to take this entire chicken and we're just going to drop it right into our water until the point where, well, that may be too much. Let me dump a little bit of that out because we need a little bit of room on the top of the pot in case of anything. So now let's turn us onto a 6. Let that boil up and push it all the way down in there. And that is one very relaxed looking chicken. Alright, so come over here and we are going to prepare our vegetables. And what I like to do is I like to pull off all the celery we're going to be working with first, then wash, then chop. And we're just going to use a knife on this. The reason why I pull off all the celery is because when you clean it, you can really get every single area, whereas if it was still bunched together, it's very difficult to clean under here. So let's rinse off our celery here. And remember, we're not going to use every single little bit of celery, but I'll show you what we're going to eliminate here. We're just going to go for the middle parts, but we still need to rinse off our vegetable. Good enough. Give that a good washing, and then we're going to reach for that one. Reach for our knife, and one at a time, we're just going to eliminate the top and the bottom until we're left with that. You do that for all the pieces of celery that we have. All right, there we go. And now we're just going to cut the celery, just regularly cut our celery down, just about like pieces like that, however thick or thin you want. Since it's going into a soup, we want to have some good chunks there. About like that. Let's get a whole bunch of them together like that. stack them up, or have them side by side like that, line them up, and go. Okay, and just like that, all that celery is nice and cut. We got different size pieces there, big pieces, small pieces. You'll be tasting that celery. Okay, so just one full stalk of celery will be going into this beautiful soup. There we go. Now let's work on our onion. Let's push all that aside. Okay, now let's see. Knock that out of first outer layer because I think that there we go, perfect. Okay. Those. Okay, so basically when you're cutting this onion, you only need to, you can either cut long ways, or what I like to do, cut it in half and go like this. And now our onion is just fine. We're going to separate all that and put it together with our celery. Just separate all that down. It's almost like we're making onion soup again, isn't it? But no, onion will be in our soup, but just not as many onion as we had in our onion soup. This is going to be, the star of this soup is going to be the chicken. Okay, next up, we don't need that anymore either. Next up, carrots. We're going to need probably about maybe that much. Let's see. We'll see. I need a peeler, because what we need to do is take this carrots and we're needing to peel the outside of them, which is why we don't really need to wash the carrots. We're going to be peeling it anyway. And just getting rid of that outer layer of skin there. Turn it around and get the rest of it. Oops. And we're going to do this for all the carrots that we have. Okay, this one. Okay, lose that carrot. Okay. Here, there's here's the one. Here's that sort. Here, we're going to food. Like this. Thing, or peel them up. Okay. That should do us right there. Yeah. That should do us just fine. Okay. Next, come over here. And we're just going to cut the ends. Just in case. Okay. And we're just going to cut them like this. And we have now chopped our vegetable for our soup in record time. Now, we just gotta wait for the rest of that to boil. And that's gonna reach a boil, and what we want is for this chicken to be completely cooked after it boils. So we're gonna be keeping our eye on this chicken, and it's gonna probably boil for about 30 minutes, 45 minutes, around there. And this whole bit of water is gonna turn into chicken stock. And that's going to be the base for our soup. So when we remove the chicken from this pot, we're also going to set aside the stock in another pot. So we're going to get the other pot ready to take the stock. And then when we have an empty pot with the chicken, we're going to cool it with some cool water and then debone our chicken. And we're going to put the chicken directly into the pot with the stock in it. Take our vegetables, put it in, put it on the boil, and then add our noodles and mix everything together. And we're going to have chicken noodle soup. So stay tuned. As we wait for this chicken to cook, I'll show you the next step. Chicken. It looks like our chicken is done. So let's take the pot off of the heat, turn it off for just a moment. Take it over here to our sink where we already have our secondary pot and a strainer. Why do we have a strainer? So, well, if you look in your chicken stock, you'll notice little floaties and stuff that have fallen off the chicken and developed from the fat and all of the foam and all of the stuff that you don't want in your broth. So we're going to be filtering it out with that strainer there. First, let's see if we can get that chicken out of the pot. And that way, we just dump the broth right into that pot. And we're going to be very careful about lifting this guy up. Just set him aside right there. And whoa, look at all that. Okay, it's going to go all over the counter, but that's why we have towels. Okay, so now, with the broth, we're going to filter it right through our strainer here. And look at all that unwanted gunk getting caught up in our strainer. That's going to be some nice clean broth there. There we go. Okay, now, we need to put the chicken back into this pot. So, back into the pot it goes. And why do we put it back in? Well, I'll tell you why. Because we... yeah, see, look how clean that broth is. Look how clean that is. So, we went from a dirty broth to a clean broth. Now, if you want it even cleaner than that, put a layer of cheesecloth down and then strain it through the cheesecloth. And that way, all your broth will be 100% solid broth. You won't have any foam. You won't have any speck of fats in there whatsoever. But I tend to use just a little bit of fats there because it helps generate and release vitamins through your body. So some fats are okay to have in your system. That's what we call dietary fats. Dietary fats are necessary in your diet, mainly because we need to get those vitamins through your body. And now, we're going to switch over to cold water, as cold can be, and we're going to cool off that chicken. And we're going to let it sit in that cold water for a bit. And if it gets hot again, because that chicken is going to be super piping hot, and it's going to turn that water back into hot water again. So what we're going to do is going to run this through and rinse it in cold water a couple of cycles. Let it sit there for a bit so it's really cooled down before we start deboning, because that meat around that bone especially is going to be super hot. If you happen to handle hot meat, you're going to drop it right there in your pot, and you're going to be like, your fingers are going to be like burning, and you don't want that. So
is it possible to use ice?
You can use ice. It is possible, but cold water especially would be better. And even in the cold water, you can take, and now that the chicken is breakable, you can break it apart into pieces. Just be careful, because that meat is still going to be hot in certain places. You can actually feel the heat. And what we're going to do is break off our appendages here, the legs, the wings. All of this is going to be deboned. And we're just going to rinse this chicken under that cold water until everything is cold. So just let it sit in that cold water. And so what we're going to do is, yeah, that's about good. So if you let it run under cold water for a while, that'll be good. So we're going to put the chicken that we deboned right back into that broth there. And it's just a long process. Now, you can leave the skins out if you want to, but I've always loved the skins. So I'm going to include the skins, and I know what you're thinking. Ew, gross. You're leaving the skins in a chicken soup? How dreadful. But I do this with my chicken and dumplings as well. I leave the skins in it because, I don't know, I just love the skins. I can't help myself. I love chicken skin. So I'm going to leave mine in there. And I never heard of one person complain that the skin was in my chicken dishes when I debone chicken. As long as there are no cartilages or no little microscopic bones or anything that's not supposed to be in there, because there's nothing worse than eating fresh chicken, like fresh chicken soup or fresh chicken and dumpling, and coming across a bone or a cartilage that gets caught in your throat, and you just can't digest it, you can't swallow it. It sticks in your throat if it's too big, or if it's big enough, it'll stick in your throat. Just make sure you get all of that unwanted mess out of there, and like I said, choose to leave the skins or not, but this is still going to be very delicious. And I'm choosing to drop those skins right in there because I love the skins. I can't help it. I love it. The skin is the best part of fried chicken, after all. There's a cartilage. See this little thing here? That's a cartilage. So we're just going to work the meat right off of that little rubbery nub there, and we're just going to discard that cartilage because you don't want that in your soup. And we're just going to make sure that it's properly deboned. Big pieces of chicken, little pieces of chicken, however big pieces you want. I like to pull mine apart, kind of like that. So let's do a little flash forward camera magic as we get through this deboning process. So we will go from this into that. So that is how we do little kitchen magic in deboning chicken. Now, don't you wish it was that easy in your house? I bet you do. Put the pot over it and just do like that. There we go. Wipe it clean. And right onto the burner here. Wait, fly. And right back up to 6 we go. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to wait for this to heat up a bit. And while we're doing that, let's first add all of our vegetable. Now this is going to take the longest to cook to the right consistency we need. And the beauty part about working with these types of cutting boards is you can carry your whole entire load right over to your pot. Starting with the onions, going to drop that down. And our celery, going to drop that down. And now we can do this. Carrots, onions, celery, all in one go. Look at that. Put all of that in there. And there's all of our vegetables. Doesn't that look beautiful? Okay, now let's take our stirring spoon and we're going to mix all of our ingredients together. Chicken, celery, onion, carrot, all nestled in our soup. And this is going to take a bit to cook because the vegetables are very firm, so they're going to take the longest to cook. And before we add those noodles, because those noodles are going to be added too, I'm going to be adding some noodles to this, but since there is like very little room for noodles to go in here, we're going to cook our noodles in a separate pot, and then we're going to add our noodles to the soup. And what we may have to do is separate this into 2 pots because this is a lot of soup for a lot of hungry people. But while I am thinking about it, we're just going to let that boil for a bit. And before we go, let's add about 4 cloves of garlic. I'm just going to use this That's about 1 clove there. So the tip of your knife is perfect for measuring a clove of garlic. That's about a good size 2. That's a 3. And that's about a half of a 1/4. Let's get some more garlic out of there. There we go. 4 cloves of garlic. Easy as that. Now, I'm going to stir our garlic into our mix. Make sure it's all well distributed in there. Once that's well incorporated, go on to our next set of spices. Salt, for sure. You're going to need to put salt in here so that it tastes less bland. You always add this stuff to taste, but a little bit more on the salt because there's going to be a lot of it. We're going to mix all that together. Okay. And then we're going to add some pepper. Oh, there's the oregano too. And I need that. Where is the pepper? Is that it? That's it. There's the pepper. So we're just going to add a dash of pepper. Well, maybe about a couple of dashes of pepper. And then, magic ingredient, we're going to add some oregano to really perk this soup up.
After we open it.
After we open it, because apparently nobody's used oregano in this house. Leave it to me to be the first to open up the oregano and use it in something now.
Oh, great dropper of things.
That's good oregano. I love the smell of oregano. It's perfect for soups. It just really perks up the flavor really good. You're going to need quite a bit of oregano for a soup this large. You know what? I'm just going to take this off and I'm going to just tap it in as I need. I'm going to need about, say, half a teaspoon of oregano. That should do good on the oregano side. We're going to stir all of that in until it's all nice and well incorporated into our soup. And look at that. Look at that oregano floating in there. Perfect. Just the right amount too. And that's just going to cook right into our chicken, onion, celery, garlic, and carrot. And because I'm from Baltimore, Old Bay. Old Bay is really good for soups, seafoods, steaks, and of course, poultry. And even a good sprinkle on your chips or french fries when you make them. So a nice sprinkle of Old Bay brings out that old flavor of the Chesapeake right into your foods. So that is all the spices we need. Oregano, Old Bay, salt, pepper. You got yourself a perfect tasting soup right there. So now we're going to let this boil. And if you ever need to add more water to your soup, because you may lose it in the cooking process, if you do lose some water, you can add more water. It won't taste any less like a soup if you do. In fact, it's definitely a good idea to add more water if you're losing water. So that's going to stay on the boil for about another 30 minutes. So 30, maybe 45 if it needs it, or until your vegetables are nice and softened. That is going to be a lovely soup right there. So, when we come back, I'll show you the next step in our chicken noodle soup, made from scratch. And oh, so delicious. There we go. That's perfect. Everything's cooked perfectly. All that vegetable is nice and soft. Now we're just waiting for this pot to boil. And since it's almost there, I'm just going to go ahead and dump our egg noodles into this pot. That way, all of our egg noodles in one pot will cook just perfectly. And all of our other ingredients will just sit in a nice hot pot. Won't lose any water, any quality. All of the egg noodles into that pot there. And let's see, this can mix, use the same spoon to mix both. You know what? We probably just need the 2 bags. Let's just do the 2 bags. Leave that one on the side. Just 2 bags of egg noodle will be all right. And now we're going to just let that cook up. And then for an extra bonus, we're going to have some garlic bread on the side of that too. So, Because why the heck not? Soup, garlic bread. Who says you have to just eat it with Italian food? There ain't no rule on where and when you can eat garlic bread, and I think garlic bread would be nice to have next to a homemade chicken noodle soup. So, that's going to be the base of it, and what we're going to do is when those noodles are done cooking, we're going to drain the noodles, and then we're going to rinse the noodles, then we're going to put the noodles back in that pot, and then we're going to just take some of the noodles, lay them down into the bowl, get a ladle of this stuff or two, lay that over the top of the noodles, mix it together, and you got yourself chicken noodle soup, homemade, from scratch. Yeah, I still got to trim those claws, but anyway. So let's rendezvous when we're ready for that point. And these noodles are going to be cooking for about 20 to 25 minutes, or until we reach a very soft state in our noodles. We're going to probably just keep them at soft, probably one step beyond al dente, and then we'll just throw everything together and have a taste test, and then we'll send you on your way to make your own chicken noodle soup at home. And it's done from magic! Actually from time-lapsed magic, but still, magic nonetheless. Let's get these noodles drained in our colander, my small colander. Ooh, watch out for the steam. Yeah, that's about as much as I can do there. Okay. See if I can dump any more of that in there without losing it. There's a lot more water in there. It's coming along. Alrighty, then we're gonna rinse as much of those as possible. Probably won't be able to rinse all of them, or if we do, we'll probably do it very carefully, like. I don't know, but as long as most of them are rinsed, I don't think the rest of those are going to matter much. And they are egg noodles too, so they're made with different ingredients than traditional noodles, so they won't tend to produce that much icky starch in your water. So, light rinsing on the noodles. Give a couple of those, and back into the pot it goes. Okay. Look at all those noodles. Yeah, we're really going to fit all those noodles into this pot full of ingredients. Right. Yeah. No, we're going to cook each one separate, and perhaps you might be able to have a humongoid stock pot full. Sure, we can do it all in one, but well, we just don't have that luxury here in this kitchen. We have what we can get away with, and that's 2 large stock pots. Okay, we're going to get our get a bowl and our ladle. We're going to just grab some noodles here, lay them down, 1 ladle full of noodle, and then get that spoon out of there because we're done mixing. And just ladle some good old-fashioned ingredients. Look at that. Right on top of that. So you got plenty of chicken, plenty of carrot, plenty of celery, lots of onion, and now we're going after juice. Juice. A little more juice. There we go. Perfect. Look at that. Got your noodle at the bottom, your ingredients at the top. That is the way we do chicken noodle soup, my friends. So we're going to serve up. Then we're going to have a taste test. And I forgot to throw that the garlic bread in the oven. Oh well, I'll do that here in a moment. Then we'll all have good stuff. Garlic bread and soup and lots of good stuff. Let's get some more of that broth in there. Okay, perfect. Yeah. Now this is good, wholesome, homemade chicken noodle soup. You can tell just from the ingredients. You're never going to get this in a can of Campbell's or even Progresso. This stuff you can only get in your own kitchen. And look at that, homemade, home deboned chicken noodle soup. Just the way Grandma would be proud if she knew. Whoa, be careful. That's hot. That's hot. She would be proud if she knew that you made a chicken noodle soup that may be better than hers. Who knows? But are you willing to challenge that? Are you willing to challenge your own grandma, who has probably been with the family for many, many years, preparing foods that would make a sailor cry? Are you willing to bet that this chicken noodle soup will be as good as anything she can whip up in the kitchen? And no, this recipe did not come from my own grandmother, because, well, I didn't really know if she could make chicken noodle soup. But this, my friends, is just the way Grandma intended if she did know how to make a mean chicken noodle soup. And she would probably do it just like this. So a little more noodle there, and then some more ingredient. So anytime you're working with soup, grab it from the bottom, because all those good ingredients settle right down to the bottom. And it just takes 1 scoopful, and then fill the rest up with that broth. Get some more of that broth, and get some more of that broth. And there you go. Before you know it, chicken noodle soup fit for a king. And there you have it. Now, I'm going to set, what is this, 350 for, what is this? 350, okay. Yes, 350. Remove garlic bread halves from foil bag and wrap together with aluminum foil. Oh, that's on the barbecue. In this foil bag at 350 for 10-15 minutes. Good. It won't take long. But that will give us plenty of time do a taste test. I'm just going to throw it in. It'll cook it. Okay, let's do a taste test and see just how good this stuff is. I'm going to need a big spoon for this because we're talking big ingredients. Now, which was the one that had the most skin in it? Because that one I want is mine. There's a good piece of skin there. I think I'll take that one. All right, here we go. I'm going to give it a little stir here. In fact, maybe I should give all of them a stir. That way everybody will know that this is a chicken noodle soup and not just chicken and vegetable. Let me give everybody a stir here. And that way everybody will know, hey, this is a soup. Look at the noodles. It is technically chicken noodle soup. This is the way I make chicken noodle soup. Okay. Stir. 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 Oh, there's a piece of skin. Yoink. Mine. I told you I love the skin. Even if it's boiled, I'll still eat it. Okay, stir that a bit, stir that a bit, stir that a bit. Let those noodles come up. Let those noodles come up. There's some noodle there. Good. Stir. Stir. See, I'm also checking for skin too, so if I find a piece of skin, I know I'm grabbing it. That's just the way I am. Alright. Let's give it the old taste test now. With noodle, let's try to get some from the middle here because you get every ingredient there. Okay, well, I'm getting a lot of noodles here. Let's give it another stir. There's all the ingredients. Okay, so... Okay, this obviously is going to be a 2 spoonful. Oh, no, there we go. Perfect. It's got everything in it. It's got the broth, celery, a little piece of carrot there, some noodle, some chicken. The only thing I'm missing is onion, though. Oh, yeah, I see the onion. This has everything. Mmm. See, that turned out good. The only thing, though, more broth. Ooh, hot, 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 hot. More broth. It's always better. That turned out pretty good. Oh yeah. You won't be getting chicken soup like this out of a can. That's for damn sure. And that's what I call cooking good and eating good. So, from the kitchen of Cooking with SonicBlu, we leave it up to you to discover your own recipe for chicken noodle soup made from scratch. And, well, I've discovered mine. Now it's time for you to discover yours. That's the beauty part about working with soups. Whatever ingredients you can add to it, make it your own. But start with what we're doing here. If you have no ideas, taste it for yourself and see just how delicious this dish can be. And quite wholesome, too. So, for Cooking with SonicBlu, if you're not cooking good, you're not eating good, and this is some really good eating right here. This is good old home-style chicken noodle soup. Try it for yourself at home and see how well yours will turn out. So, until next time, SonicBlu saying, I don't know what we're going to be making in this kitchen next, but I probably bet you're going to love it. Stay tuned until then. You know, today's recipe went unhinged and unaffected by the typical bloopers. So I decided to let everybody know that while I was deboning the chicken, 2 times I let out this most tremendous sounding fart that anyone ever heard. I'm surprised that none of the other roommates came out of their rooms to see where that explosion came from. Unfortunately, I can't reproduce what I did at that moment in time, but through the power of sound effects, it sounded something like this. Whew. Now, I know that's an exaggeration, so just trust me when I say that it wasn't by much of an exaggeration. It really did sound that way, and oh my God, you should have just heard it. It was another fart heard around the world, and I wish I taped it, but I didn't. So maybe perhaps I might have enough in me to where I can do it again. Jesus Christ.
Without killing my vape pen. Oh, great dropper of things.
Oh, great clumsy man of all ages. Well, since I can't reproduce what I did before, there's a blooper for you. I knocked down Kiva's mod. And his juice. And his batteries. All in one. That's an accomplishment in itself, too. I'd also like to take this time to introduce you to our new addition to our family of reptiles. And this is a ball python named Luca. Luca is a juvenile ball python, very young and very healthy, very active, and probably upset that I woke you up in the middle of a sleep, but isn't she beautiful? Say hello, Luca. She doesn't know what to think of that camera, does she? Well, she's looking. Oh, she thinks it's a place to hide. Luca. You silly girl. But isn't she beautiful? She also had a problem with shedding on her head and an eye cap as well, but we took care of that. I made sure to keep her very well moisturized, and as you can see, the loose shedding on her head had come off along with that eye cap, and now Luca is looking perfect. Uh-oh. Oh, yeah! There it is! There it is, folks. Now, picture that a lot louder and about that length, maybe a little more. That's what it sounded like earlier. I'm glad I got that on tape. Luca, meanwhile, is like, what the hell was that? I'm getting out of here. Keep the change.